Yes, well, Singularia came about after a great deal of reflection. Reflection upon what could be possibly the future for my own children and their children. And going deeply into the angst of where we may be taking ourselves as we overpopulate the planet and desecrate it with our poisoning of it and misuse of it and the heating of it and the arguments and politics that ensue. And at a certain point, I felt that for myself and for my own family, I needed to at least sit down and personally write where I saw all this. Not as a hopeless thing, but as an adventure in consciousness that was artistic and poetic. And so I gave myself 3 days to write an essay. That 3 days turned into 35,000 words in 6 weeks. Having accomplished that and having experienced great contentment and peace while doing it, and excitement as I approached the writing each day, and it poured forth from my being, I shared it with a few colleagues privately and said, well, what do you make of this? And to a person, they replied, oh my, people need to know about this. You're saying things that I'm feeling, but I haven't had words to put to these feelings or time to even to contemplate it. And you've done this. You should really let people know about this. And so I then followed through with a process of further refinement and further sharing and getting comments back. I mean, the comments you introduced our interview with, that I was a seasoned light worker, blah, 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 those aren't things I'm saying about myself. Those are comments I'm getting back from people who I didn't know before who had the manuscript passed on to them. So I looked at the situation as far as the timing and how things were going and decided that the quickest way to get the book out was to self-publish it, and took the bull by the horns and did all of that and created a website. And now I find myself in the business of feeding what I call the cookie monster of the internet with information so that people might know that there is this other point of view that is much more harmonious with a great deal of cultural experience that we have been going through in my lifetime since the 60s, since the Cultural Revolution, that has not taken the aggressive approach of the counterstance of materialism and the fundamentals of the market economy and such. And I really believe it's our time to come back into the conversation now, and Singularia is my hopefully amusing and insightful storytelling around the fire to not tell people what to think, but to help them have their own thoughts about this and come to their own conclusions about these mighty and important issues that are before us, and not just ourselves, but for the future of humanity. What choices are we going to make now? And are we going to see it simply as technology and materialist point of view, or are we going to allow our heart to enter into the equation and to speak from our heart and not just from our head? And so that's how Singularia came about. And people find it a very entertaining book. They find that it's something that makes them stop and think along the way, and it amuses them a great deal. And I'm happy about that.